7 o'clock, call meeting to order. Mrs. Dickman, would you please lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Record show all board members are present. Mr. Board, has public notice been given?
It has. We are working off of the revised agenda, which includes item 10G, the LP gas quote for 25-26.
Public comments per policy 0167.3. Anyone wishing to participate in the period of public comment must be a resident of the Richland School District, the parent or legal guardian of an enrolled district student or an enrolled district student. Speakers not permitted to make inflammatory comments, use inappropriate language or gestures, attack specific persons, or make a specific person the subject of their remarks. Please see policy 0167.3 for a complete list of requirements and restrictions. If a person is unable to adhere to these rules, they may be directed to end their comments. Mrs. Coleman?
None.
Thank you. On to reports. District Administrator's report.
Not a lot to share tonight other than just a couple of dates for our board and our public. Friday, of course, is a holiday this Friday, so we will not be having any school on Friday of this week. Next Monday, it's the third Monday of the month, but it is a regularly scheduled meeting for the board. This will be the last board meeting with this current board, so that'll be at Monday, April 21st at 7 o'clock, a week from tonight. Followed by next Wednesday, 4/23, there will be a special Buildings, Property, and Transportation Committee meeting. That will be at 6 o'clock here in the IMC, where they will be opening up or selecting a bid package for the intermediate school. And then finally, 2 weeks from tonight, April 28th, that will be our reorganization meeting where our elected board members are sworn in and officers will be elected by the board. And that'll be at 7 o'clock as well. Any questions from the board? Thank you.
All right, Student Council report.
I see that Ms. Burns is here. Go ahead and push the microphone there so it turns green.
Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Kylie and I've had the pleasure of being part of Student Council and attending these meetings before. I'm excited to update you on some of the things we've been working on this year. Firstly, I'm thrilled to announce that our recent donation drive for our period project was a tremendous success. We received generous cash donations from several local organizations and businesses, and their support will significantly benefit our school. We are incredibly grateful for their help because this allows us to run this project without any limitations. This project benefits many members of our school community, so we are very grateful that we can proceed with it. Looking ahead, I want to remind everyone that our Student Council President election will take place at the end of this week. We encourage all students to get involved and make their voices heard during this important process. Additionally, we will be accepting new member applications for the 25-26 school year, with the goal of establishing our new council at our May meeting to kick off preparations for homecoming. Lastly, I'm excited to share that we have a successful blood drive and we are planning another one for the end of May. This is an essential part of our commitment to the community service and we hope to continue making a positive impact. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
IT Department report.
Okay, so hopefully you got a chance to watch the four presentations, the next four items on our agenda. Our IT presentation was done by our IT director, Eric Beers. He highlighted our one-to-one devices are now in grades 3 through 12. If you saw that graph, our Chromebook repairs are down dramatically. Our network is looking to get upgraded, as well as our network risk has been decreased by 50% due to different training exercises that have been going on. But Mr. Bierce is here in the back. If you do have any questions for him, he certainly can answer them about his presentation. Any questions from the board?
Mr. Bierce, do you attribute the lack of needed repairs to the Chromebooks because we have a new batch of Chromebooks, or is it just kind of happenstance?
Due to the new batch of Chromebooks, smaller design, and we attribute a lot of it to the new cases that we've put on that. And just students have been a lot better with them all the way around, but dropped dramatically. It's been really good for everybody and allowed Mr. Masterson to focus more on other tasks and everything else, so it's just been good all the way around.
How far along are you change over to the new Chromebooks?
We're just in the first year before your cycle.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Bierce.
No problem.
Curriculum report.
Similarly, Dr. Sherry Johnson had uploaded her curriculum presentation. She talked about the advancement of our PLC question number 1, talked about Act 20, and she's talked about that numerous times at different committees and at the board level. I'm sure you're well aware of that, but the required training that took place not only for administrators but for staff, and just a handful of staff yet to sign up for that, as well as touching base on some ESL and EE things coming up. So again, Dr. Johnson's here. Welcome to answer any questions that you might have for her regarding curriculum.
In regards to Act 20, could you give a brief summary on what the state is requiring on that?
Brief is kind of funny. There's a lot. Essentially, to wrap it all up is the whole point is to decrease the number of students who are struggling in reading. So they're trying to hit it from all aspects, from teacher training. Actually, they're also hitting it from the college training piece. They're also wanting to hit that piece, which isn't in our purview. They're helping us understand the kind and providing resources and platforms for us to assess students and helping us get training for that. They're providing guidance on policies, which we will be looking at here at the board level soon. They are providing more guidance on family communications and training on dyslexia, and there's just a lot. It's been, we've been made aware about Act 20 for several years, and it's really, the timelines are getting really short now. It felt like a long time ago when we first heard about it, and now the rubber's hitting the road. So that's why you're hearing much more about it from me now, because it's getting real. All the timelines and things, especially with the staff training.
Questions? All right, Human Resource Report.
Okay, our HR Director, Amber Bingham. I don't know if she is one of the folks online here or not, but Ms. Bingham talked about extensively about our wellness program that we have implemented here. I believe we're now in year 3 or 4 of that program, the benefits of the program, and stated that our participation has been pretty steady. Just under 2/3 of our staff have participated in the wellness program. Folks who are benefit eligible, health insurance eligible, that take the health insurance, if they complete the components of the wellness program, they get more of the premium paid for by the district. If they complete the program, the district will pay 89% of their premium, and the employee is responsible for 11%. If they don't, the district will pay 86%, and the employee is responsible for 14%. So just over 1/3 of our staff are choosing to not participate. That number's been pretty steady now for the last 3 years. But again, I don't know if Amber's on, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to jot them down if I can't answer them, or Mr. Bosworth can't answer them, and we can get those answers from Amber. Any questions?
What types of things are being done to incentivize those last 1/3 to actually participate in the program? Because I think evidence has shown that if you do participate in the wellness program, you actually have less expense in medical bills for the district, and obviously it saves them that 3% on the premium side.
Yeah, that's certainly the biggest incentive that they have is the financial incentivization, but we also, all of our employees that attend the Welcome Back get, we talk about the wellness program at that point, the insurance benefits, as well as during enrollment time, which will be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So they get a couple of opportunities to hear that. But there are some folks that just don't like going to the doctor, don't like getting their annual physical and those components. So, you know, in talking to USI, I think we're pretty average when it comes to participation. Certainly not above average, but certainly not below either. But if anybody has any ideas with how we can get it out there better, I'm happy to hear them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, alternative education report.
Okay, and then Kim Siefkes, who's our lead teacher at the partner school and one of our alternative education programs, as well as, again, Dr. Johnson did the presentation for the alt ed, talked about the ROA, the number of students that we have in there, the online academy, did a video tour of the partner. We have about 25 students in there, as well as just talking about some general alt ed options before the Siefkes went into some more detail about the partner school. Dr. Johnson's here as well. I don't know if Ms. Siefkes is, but again, open it up to any questions that the board may have regarding that. Okay, thank you. Thanks to everyone who submitted a presentation.
All right, on to the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes of March 24th, 2025?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Billion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Troxel. Discussion? Mr. Billion?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, on to financial items. Approval of statement of cash and invoices.
I move we approve the statement of cash dated April 7th, 2025. The Community First Bank General Checking Accounts number 87121 through 87169, ACH number 242502953 through 242503046, EFT numbers 202400152 through 202400158, for a net total of $728,811.18. This is for the purpose of general operating costs of the district.
Motion was made by Mr. Doudna. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Hunter. Mr. Bosworth, anyone to point out or add?
Nothing to point out on this round.
Thank you. Discussion? Mr. Van Landine?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Right, on to the sale of $12,160,000 in bonds report.
I'll just turn this over to our business official, Mr. Bosworth.
All right, thank you. As you're all aware, in 2024, the community passed a referendum, capital referendum for $27,160,000. Last July, we had the first round of bonds sold at $15 million. And we just recently completed the second and final sale of bonds at $12,160,000. You'll remember in January you passed a parameters resolution that said that the board president and the superintendent can authorize the sale as long as it's under a certain percentage, and that threshold was 5.25%, I think. And so the sale did happen in early April, and collectively, it was about 4.3% on the bonds, which is very similar to the first sale of $15 million. And that will close in early May, and then the funds will go directly into our investment pool with PMA, who are our financial advisors and help us manage the bond proceeds. I should also add that our Moody's rating, which is like our credit rating, remains stable at A1. And you can see in that chart that A1 is not at the top, but it's pretty close. It's a pretty good rating. They did make some comments that even since our last one, we had improved a little bit, but just not quite enough to get us into that next tier at this point.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bosworth? or myself. Okay, thank you.
All right. The closeout of 2023-24 budget.
And I'll pass this one also right back to Mr. Bosworth to talk about what you've got in your board docs and the attachments and what will be happening here in the next couple of minutes.
Yep. So, our auditor, Marissa, will join via Zoom here shortly, and she'll explain to you how the 23-24 school year went. Inside of your board docs, there are 4 documents. The first one says Richland School District Audit Report, so that's the audit of the entire district. That's the big one. The second one says required audit communications. Those are just some things that Marissa will explain more to you about. The third one says Richland School District single audit. Any entity that receives federal funding over a certain dollar amount is required to have a single audit. So that's an audit just of those activities related to federal funding. And then finally, that last one says Richland Schools presentation. That's the presentation that Marissa will move through, and you can follow along if you'd like. But we'll let Marissa take it over.
Hi, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes, Carrie, can you make her full screen? Please?
Do you want me to share the presentation, or does everyone have it all along? I can do more.
I think it would be best if you could share it, Marissa,
Okay.
so it's on the
Do
screen.
that.
As well as them having, so most of the board members have it in front of them, if not all.
You guys see the presentation on the screen then?
No, we can only see you.
Oh, no. Okay, let me try again. Oh. How about now?
Looks like it's, yep, we're good.
Okay. So as John said, my name is Mercy Powers, and I'm with Johnson Block & Company, and I am the audit supervisor on Richland School District's audit. And I'm here to present to you the audit report for January 2024. And as John said, yeah, we gave you 4 documents this year. They're all pretty long, pretty wordy. So this presentation is just a highlight of those key things. But again, this presentation is only 14 pages long, and I think the cumulative total of those 4 documents is probably about 130 pages. So this is a very summarized version of that. This first page of the presentation is just an overview of our audit. So we did issue an unmodified opinion, which means a good, clean opinion. If you didn't want, your financial statements are free from material misstatements. Our audit scope included all funds and activities. Management reviewed and accepted all of our journal entries. And all of our year reports were electronically submitted to DPI, and also the federal single audit was electronically submitted to the federal government. And one of the documents, the separate audit communications, that's essentially a letter from us as your auditor to you as a board. We encourage you to read all these in their entirety, but that one has a lot of good information in it, as well as the audit report. And in that required communication document, we note 2 items. We comment on the following 2 items. GASB 101, compensated absences. So this isn't the finding, this is just a management letter comment. This is a new accounting standard that's coming out for your June 30th, 2025 year end. That requires some more work on our end and on your financial staff's end. We don't get to choose a lot of these standards when these standards come out, so it's just something we were told we have to do. So that might change how things look next year in our financial statements a little bit. Then your capitalization policy, this is just another recommendation by us. So the federal single audit guidelines, they recently changed their guidance of increasing their capitalization threshold to $10,000. It was previously $5,000, so now we're just recommending our clients increase their capitalization threshold to $10,000 to match those federal guidelines. And then in the single audit report, last 3 things at the bottom of the page, they're mentioned more detail in that single audit report. We had 3 findings, 2 related to the financial statements. The first one was the material weakness, material audit adjustments. All these audit adjustments are the last 6 pages of that required communication document if you want to take a look at them. And then a step down from that is a significant deficiency for lack of segregation of duties. It just means you don't have enough finance staff to properly segregate accounting functions. This is a very common finding at, I think, all of our schools have this finding that we audit. And then we did have a finding for federal single audit or federal compliance testing for related to Medicaid school-based services. the name of the program that we had the finding in, and it was related to some missing signed documents to parents. This next page just talks about your federal and your state awards. So you were federal single audit, you expended $2.3 million of federal funds. And for 2024, that threshold for single audit was $750,000, so you were well over that threshold meeting a single audit. So we did complete that and audited several programs. We did just have that one Medicaid finding. Page 4, if you're following along the screen, I'm sorry, it's probably really small. I can zoom in a little bit. So this is one of the statements from the face of the financial statements. This is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for your governmental funds. So we have major funds of your general fund, your debt service fund, and then accumulation of your non-major funds. And if you wanted to look at how the non-major funds did, I believe the last couple pages of the audit report is where those non-major funds are all broken out, if you care to take a peek at that at all. So for your general fund, you had total revenues of $21.2 million. Total expenditures, approximately $22.9 million, for a net loss or change in fund balance of approximately $1.6 million. And in your debt service, you had net loss of approximately $580,000. Total cumulative non-major of $140,000. This next page again is pretty small. This is your budget versus actual just for your general fund. So your original budget, final budget, and actual, and then your variance with the budget. So for the general fund, you did have a favorable variance in your revenue budget of approximately $194,000. And a favorable variance in your expenditure budget, where you were under budget, approximately $629,000. You're also under budget in your other financing sources and uses, approximately $24,000. On the next page, this is your budget versus actual for your just for the special education fund. So for the special education fund, you had an unfavorable variance in revenues. So you were under budget in revenues. You didn't get as much revenues as you anticipated, approximately $109,000, but that was offset by being under budget with your total expenditures, approximately $152,000. This next page is your trend analysis in your general fund balance for the last 6 years. So in 2024, your general fund had an ending fund balance of approximately $5.8 million, which is a decrease from 2023, but it's still a really healthy fund balance in your general fund. And actually, this next page shows a more detailed breakdown of that for all governmental funds. Again, sorry, it's too small. So we have different categories for your fund balance. So you have non-fundable, which is your prepaids, approximately $122,000. Total restricted, $166,000. Committed, which is your HRA that you guys commit every year, $60,000. Assigned for future capital purchases, approximately $303,000, and then your unassigned was approximately $5.2 million. And over here, your unassigned is your largest portion of 79%. And the next largest is restricted at 50%. So this general fund unassigned balance of $5.2 million is a really healthy unassigned fund balance for a school district. This is your breakout of your governmental funds, of your revenues for 2024. So state sources are your biggest at 48%, or $4.8 million. And the largest portion of the state sources is from the equalization aid from the state, which is approximately $10 million, and that equalization aid is 38% of the district's total governmental revenue. The next largest category is your local sources, approximately $10.8 million or 40%, and that includes your property tax of $9.7 million. The next one is federal sources of 9% or $2.3 million. Inter-district and intermediate sources, approximately $762,000, and then other revenues, $50,000. This overall makeup is very comparable to last year. This is trend analysis in your property taxes. So as I said on the previous page, your property taxes were approximately $9.7 million. You did fully comply with state revenue limitations, and the equalization aid, student enrollment, and revenue limit formula imposed by state directly impact the district's tax levy. This is a trend analysis in net equalization aid, which is the largest source of revenue from the state. As I said earlier, approximately 10 million, which is very comparable to the prior year. And this equalization aid is formula determined by the state. There's a lot of multiple factors that go into this formula. But one of the factors that do go into it is your enrollment. So we just want to show you your district-wide enrollment trend. For 24, you have approximately 1,268 students, and that's the September and summer time enrollment membership averages. Now we're moving on to expenses. So this is just a breakdown of your expenses for 2024. So the largest category for expenses were instruction, with 37%, or approximately 10.5 million. Support services were 36% at 10.4 million. Capital outlay was 14%, which is less than 1%. Non-program was 3.2, and debt service was approximately 4.7 million, or 16% for expenses. And then this last page are some note tables taken directly from the audit report. We just want to show the debt you had outstanding in June 2024. So your bonds and notes outstanding were approximately 5.4 million, with amounts due that you paid in 2025 of 650,000. You have some bond premiums outstanding, and then the finance purchase arrangements here. These are just your leases, essentially, is what they are. They just have some different terminology. Approximately 130,000. And then this bottom little table just shows your debt limit and debt capacity. So your debt limit is 10% of your equalized valuation. And with your less your debt currently outstanding, you have a remaining debt capacity of approximately 90%. Again, all these items are just very high level items that we think you guys would like to know as a board. Does anyone have any questions? I know that was a lot of information, very fast and very high level. But if anyone has any questions right now, I'm happy to answer them.
Maybe if I could just add, and John can certainly help out, and Marissa jump in, but you'll notice that we had a deficit of about 1.7 million. Remember that the year before, this was a planned 2-year, we claimed all of our ESSER dollars the year before, adding a surplus to our fund balance of about 2.4 million, and with the intention of spending that down. And if you look closely, I believe it's on page 5, our budgeted fund balance was to end around 4.8. We ended up about 4.9. So when you take the net of those two years, we were really about $100,000 better than what we anticipated we would be over the course of those 2 years. So Marissa, can you confirm that what I'm saying there is accurate?
Yep, and I can also see that you had your trend of your marathon fund balance, how you had that big spike in 23 and then it went back down a little bit to 24. Yep. So I can confirm that that's accurate in what we saw.
Any other questions for Ms. Powers? Again, you have all of that information in your board docs and as an attachment. So, thank you, Marissa.
Yep. Thank you.
Mrs. Coleman, consent agenda items.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented. Motion to accept the donation of carnations to Partner School from Added Touch Floral valued at approximately $40. Motion to approve the hiring of Elise Lederer for the 25-26 school year as a cross-categorical teacher. Motion to approve the hiring of Brianna Robson for the 2025-26 school year as a cross-categorical teacher. Motion to approve the hiring of David Trepon for the 2025-26 school year as a math teacher. Motion to accept the resignation of Jennifer Judd as our CIS teacher at the conclusion of the 2024-25 school year.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items? So moved. Motion made by Mr. Van Landijk. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Dickman. Discussion? Mr. Dowden?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank Added Touch Floral for their generous donation, as well as the new folks coming on board in the school districts. Is there a motion to approve modified agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Billion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Troxel, discussion. Mr. Hunterman?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, on to information and discussion items, district transfers, vacancies, and appointments.
Okay, so we do have special education aid that we are reviewing applications for. That posting has recently ended on April 6th, so we're just getting interviews and stuff set up for that. And then we did get a resignation for building admin assistant at the high school, and so that position is posted through the end of the day tomorrow. And those are our two vacancies that we have for the 24-25. We have several positions for the 25-26 that are listed there as well. Many of them are going through the interview process, or the postings end in the near future. And then just a general note to the board, just any resignations that we get, they're added on this official chart once the resignation is accepted by the board, if it's in the case of a certified staff. But we do post them prior to, as soon as we get the resignation internally, just so you understand, sometimes the resignations are not on there but the posting is, so just clarification there. But any questions from the board regarding that? Certainly a table you've seen before, but the 25-26 list will be growing here. Okay, thank you.
Election results.
Okay, so on April 1st, we had the spring election. The school district had a relatively minimal space on the ballot, but we did have two school board positions up. We had the Area 2 West, which was held by Aaron Umbihan. He ran unopposed, and so he was elected to that position with a total of 2,840 votes. And then Area 3, the city, currently held by Mr. Huntemer, who did not seek re-election. That position was elected, or the person who was elected was Brian Miller, and he received a total of 2,760 votes officially. Those are official numbers after the canvassing took place on Thursday, April 3rd. Board members that are elected will be serving a term through April 2028, and they will take their oath at the April 28th reorganizational meeting in 2 weeks. And you can see there at the top table, those not in red are those current board members, and you can see when each board member, what seat they hold, as well as when those respective terms end. I believe that's it. Any questions from the board? Congratulations to Brian and Aaron for being elected, and certainly going to miss Mr. Huntemer. Our time is limited with him.
Crocodile tears, I'm sure.
Tissue in my paper. Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
All right, Neola policy updates, technical corrections.
Okay, so this is the second or third time, I believe, that you've seen the Neola policy updates. They come out certainly once and sometimes twice a year. These are technical changes, so these are changes in grammar, wording, clarification, but they don't really change the meaning of the policy. And so according to policy 0131.1, which is our bylaws and policies policy, it states that technical changes can be made, but it's my responsibility to inform the board at the next board meeting, and so, or at a future board meeting, and so that's what I'm doing here with this topic. You'll see a list of the full technical corrections in the PDF. These are all at the recommendation of Neola, again, mostly for clarification and grammar, wording, things like that. This was also shown to our policy committee. Any questions from the board or anything from the policy committee that they would like to add regarding the technical corrections? We've got full revisions later on in the agenda.
I had a question, whether it be this one or in the action items.
A handful of months back, Title IX changes brought to the board new policies that we implemented. Since then, it's my understanding those Title IX rules have possibly gone back to where they were. Can you either speak to now which version we're on and if we're in compliance, or next board meeting if you're unaware at this time?
We will be back in compliance in approximately 20 minutes. It's on for the next agenda item. It's part of the Neola updates where we're going to rescind one policy that was in effect for just a short period of time.
Sorry.
So I'll explain it more. No, not a problem at all. So, we'll see how close I am in 20 minutes.
All right, on to action items, 2025-26 student handbook revisions.
Okay, so all of our handbook, student handbooks went to policy committee, and a good chunk of the information within those handbooks also went to curriculum. Not necessarily everything goes to curriculum, but certainly the policy committee saw all the handbooks and the revisions that were made because our handbooks are an extension of our local policy. And so all of the handbooks are listed. I'm just making sure that, all of the handbooks are part of the attachments. There are additional attachments for summaries of the revisions that are being proposed. The activity code is in the memo itself. It wasn't in an attachment. It was just copied and pasted in the memo itself. But really you have a summary of the different revisions. We've got our high school administration and our activities director present if there are any specific questions, as well as our curriculum committee and our policy committee. Between the group of us, we should be able to answer any questions that you might have. While you're thinking, if you have any questions or not, just a couple of things to point out. One, there will be a few additional things that will come up that will need board approval that will automatically get transferred in the handbook when that approval happens. For instance, when the board approves 25-26 food service prices or meal prices, when that is approved, the handbooks will get updated automatically. So some of those things, when you take other action, will make sure that the handbook complies with that. And then finally, right around the start of July, we're already working on some of it, but as those handbooks become finalized, then we will make sure that they are also fully translated so that our Spanish-speaking families have full access to them as well. And then they're available online and certainly at the younger buildings, or at the younger levels, paper copies as well. So, with that, any questions from the board or anything to add from any committee members that was brought up at a committee that you want to make sure that the board hears?
I have another question.
Yeah.
The handbook having the start and stop time of classes, is that accurate?
Are
It's one of the pages?
the bell schedules?
Yes, correct.
Nothing has changed at our building.
High school, Amy, primary school, the bell schedule's accurate?
Correct.
So on that topic, I believe we built in extra hours to offset any potential extra snow days, flooding, et cetera, which has seemed to possibly end in a surplus. Do you know if I assume we'll continue to look at a surplus for next year? Do you know how much in surplus we will finish this year, assuming no more cancellations or delays, assuming a couple of days?
I don't have that information. Mr. Bosworth, kind of putting you on the spot. Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I can look it up for you if you'd like.
I know the discussion in the past had been, hey, maybe we, start cutting it back, go 5 minutes earlier to let out. But then I know that many of the people in this room are fans of keeping the children in the building for more education. So I guess I can't argue against it, but just slipping it in there that, hey, an extra half hour off on the tail end of the year, keep that in mind as everything gets approved.
Duly noted.
You gotta fight for the kids sometimes.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to accept the recommendation from the policy committee and approve the 2025-26 student handbooks as presented.
I so move.
Motion made by Mrs. Dickman. Is there a second? Second. Second, Mr. Van Landine. Discussion?
So in approving these in the committee level, there was one item that stuck with me, and I voted yes to pass it out of committee. But the more I thought about it, not going to support this. So it would be on page 3, removing the 1.5 GPA minimum to simply say no Fs, which basically lowers the GPA required to participate. And I think we should hold ourselves to a higher standard and our athletes to a higher standard. And that's why I'm not going to support it, because I feel that we're lowering it too much.
So you're referring to page 3 of the proposed activity code?
Yes.
Selby, do you want any clarification?
No, because Laura did a wonderful job at the committee level. It follows WIA recommendations. I just think that we should hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Sure.
Any other discussion? Ms. Troxel?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye. The 2025-26 employee handbook.
Okay, so you'll see a summary of the changes there. When you see the different parts, just part 1 in our employee handbook is for all employees. It includes a lot of general terms and information pertinent to everyone. Part 2 is really for those under Section 118.22 of state statutes, which is a teacher contract. And then part 3 is language in there specifically related to our hourly employees. So those are the different parts as you kind of look at the different revisions. A lot of the revisions, as you'll see, are just updating language and trying to get things aligned with different things. I would say that there are 2, I use the word significant fairly loosely because they're not major changes, but 2 changes that I want to point out here. One is that in the proposal, changing the ability to use vacation for those full year employees. They have vacation, being able to allow them to use that in 15-minute increments. That matches personal leave time. When we made that change, or when the board made that change to allow PTO or personal time to be used in 15-minute increments, vacation would be used very similar. Right now it has to be used in a half-day increment, and sometimes that means that employees end up taking more time off than they really need. Okay, so that's one change. And then the second change that I think is worth pointing out, especially as we've started to make hires for next year, is that in previous handbooks, our insurance would not start until the first of the month following 30 days of employment. Okay, so when a new teacher was hired and they started employment in October, August, teachers start in August, 30 days is in September, therefore their health insurance with benefits would start October 1st. In recent years, we've heard from some of our new hires that this is problematic. Most of the other schools around the area have a September 1st insurance start time, and so that creates a month where they have to get COBRA or find other insurance opportunities. And as we looked around, that is exactly true. We're one of the few folks that had an October 1st. And so this language now matches what many of the other school districts around our area have, and allow our new hires to be able to get on our insurance the first of the month following their start date. So now when they start on August 21st, for instance, they will be able to be on our health insurance plan as soon as September 1st. Okay, so those are the 2, again, what I would call major, more significant changes to the proposals. But again, it's all there, and this was presented at our Personnel Negotiations and Budget Development Committee if they have anything further to add.
Will teachers always start prior to September 1st? Do you know of calendars that does not occur?
Not anywhere in the foreseeable future, unless the DPI would push the start back further. But, teachers and our staff need a certain amount of days for in-service training, getting their rooms and classrooms ready. So as long as school starts on September 1st, teachers would almost always have to be here in advance of that.
Good. Just be unfortunate. It could be a 28-day.
Oh, sure, I see what you're saying, yep. Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to accept the Personnel Negotiation and Budget Development Committee's recommendation and approve the changes to the 2025-26 Employee Handbook effective July 1st, 2025?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Doudna. I will second it. Discussion? Mrs. Dickman?
Aye.
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 On to private school transportation approval.
Okay, so I will turn this over to our business official and transportation director, Mr. Bosworth.
Each year, private schools are asked to submit a list of pupils by a certain date, no later than May 15th. They're also asked to submit an attendance area, kind of a circle on a map basically to show this is where all the students who are attending our schools live right now that are going to require transportation. Historically, we've collected this sort of information, but it hasn't always come to the board for review or approval. It's kind of been informal, so we're just trying to make it a little bit more black and white and follow the statutes. We understand that the school lists, student lists could certainly change for the private schools, but this is their best guess right now for who would be attending their school next year. And you can see both of those lists are included in the administrative content, for privacy reasons. You can see the names of the students. And then also there are two maps attached. And St. Mary has essentially told us everybody that attends St. Mary lives at least inside of the county. So all of our school districts is inside of the county, so that works for us. You can see the Eagles map is larger. They have a larger radius. That doesn't really affect us. We only need to transport students who actually live in the Richland School District. If a student lives outside of the Richland School District, it's not our responsibility to go get them and bring them to Eagle School, but it would be the responsibility of a neighboring school district. It falls within a certain mile boundary, so that would be more important for Eagle to show that to somebody like Ithaca or River Valley. They would need to see that. But regardless, they've told us this is our attendance area, so we're bringing this to you for your review and approval.
So just from my understanding, we're responsible for transporting the students, but do we are reimbursed the cost of that transportation by the private schools?
No, that's our.
So it's our expense to transport those students?
We transport all students to their school.
Was there a time in the past that this was not the case prior to the state giving money to private parochial schools?
I didn't understand your question.
Well, my guess is that in the past, they always took care of their own attendance. But looking at Eagle School's boundaries, I mean, they go way out beyond where we're at. And to have to take care of that or anything even within, it seems difficult to me to understand.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know the history there. I just know that if a student lives in Richland School District and they go to Eagle School, we transport them. If they are within 5 miles of the boundary of Richland School District, but they're outside, they could potentially be the responsibility of a neighboring school district. And they would be required to cross our boundary and transport them to Eagle School.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the attendance areas and student lists for St. Mary and Eagle Private Schools for the 2025-26 school year?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Bailey. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Troxel. Discussion? Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
All right, Neola policy updates, revision, new policies.
Okay, so this has also gone to our policy committee. You'll see a summary of all of the policy revisions in the PDF. And then if you look in the memo itself, if you want to see any specifics to one individual policy, you have to click on policies and then go to draft. Those drafts are available to our public through this evening, and then we'll make them non-public again as we get them updated up to our active policies. And I just wanted to verify. Mr. Hunter's earlier question.
It's just Title IX, it's not that important.
I'll take you over on the 20 minutes.
It is policy 2264 is being rescinded. And that is, so again, kind of the history on that is we had to have new Title IX policies in place by, I believe, August 1st. Those policies then stood for anything that took place after August 1st. Now, with new administration at the federal level, that has been rescinded, and so we will rescind that policy so that we now only have the original policy and everything will be acted on according to that policy, which is 2262, I believe. Any questions? Anything to add from the policy committee? There are some individual policies that are coming up next board meeting, but these are the ones with the Neola update.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation from the policy committee to approve the policy revisions by Neola as presented effective immediately?
I'll make that.
Motion made by Mr. Hunter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Dickman. Discussion? Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. On to policy 5460, graduation requirements.
Okay, so this is a policy that we're, essentially trying to clean up a little bit of language. Prior to the Neola policies taking effect in 2023, our old policies allowed a 7th or 8th grader to take a high school core class, math, reading, reading, or ELA, science or social studies, take a core class at a high school level and have that count towards graduation. Okay, they actually earned high school credit for that as long as it was in that core subject area. We've been operating under that same assumption. However, in 2023, when we adopted the Neola policy, that was something that was omitted on accident. Okay, it was not intentional. We just left out that section as we were working with Neola to draft that language. And so we have some students who took courses in their 7th and 8th grade year, high school courses, several students, I believe a couple dozen, I believe, right, Dr. Johnson? Several students who were taking these courses with under the assumption that they were going to be getting high school credit, but our current policy doesn't allow them to get high school credit. And so this revision that you'll see, if you click on the PDF, the section that was omitted is now in green, if this pulls up, is in green. That's the proposed language for graduation credit as a 7th and 8th grader. It mirrors very closely to what was in our old policy. And the ask would be that not only is the policy revised as presented, but that it be effective immediately and retroactive to July 1, 2023, so that we can ensure that those students who are now anywhere from sophomores or juniors, and possibly sophomores or juniors likely, that they can get credit for the courses that they took under that assumption when they were 7th and 8th graders. So, anything to add, Dr. Johnson, that I missed?
No.
This did go to the curriculum committee as well as the policy committee. It comes with their endorsement as well. So anything to add from the committee levels is welcomed as well. Any questions?
All right, is there a motion to accept the recommendation from the curriculum committee and policy committee and approve the revisions to policy 5460 as presented, effective immediately and retroactive to July 1st, 2023?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Van Landijk. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Troxel. Discussion. Mr. Van Landijk?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Distinguished staff criteria.
Okay, so the board has seen this a couple of different times. This has been through the curriculum committee, the personnel committee. It was brought to the board. It went back to the committees to see if they had any additional information to add. This was a year-long process where a group of employees worked with me to come up with some criteria and a rubric based on the board definition for distinguished staff. This allows them the rubric to have as well as the criteria where the timelines are outlined. They would apply no later than October 15th. They would then know that next calendar year for additional pay to take effect the following or subsequent school year. So this is, again, gone to the board. It was at our last board meeting for information. I don't have anything new to add, but again, I'm happy to answer any questions that may have come up since our last committee meetings or our board meetings. Again, this does come at the endorsement of the curriculum and personnel committees.
Is there a motion to accept the recommendation from the curriculum committee and personnel committee and approve distinguished staff criteria as presented?
I'll make that.
Motion made by Mr. Huntemer. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Doudna. Discussion? Mr. Doudna?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
This is part of the revised agenda, 2025-26 LP gas code.
All right, and I'll finish this one up by handing this off to Mr. Bosworth of Transportation and Business Commission.
Yes, thank you to Mr. Board and Mr. Unbehan for revising the agenda because we got some favorable news from our LP vendor. The volatility in the markets has, for whatever reason, pushed the price of LP gas down, which is unfortunate for those who work in the LP market, but it is a short-term positive for us. Current price that we've been quoted is $1.39 a gallon, which is nearly 20 cents cheaper than we paid last year. So there's some urgency to try to secure that price. The anticipated usage next year is about 52,000 gallons. There is one potential negative to share with you. We've, the last few years, been taking advantage of a federal program that provides rebates for using LP gas. The folks at Premier are telling me that that program is very likely to go away with a lot of the changes that are going on at the federal level right now with federal spending. But if we can't, they will apply that for this next school year for us, and that would make our bill due soon for next fiscal year to be a little bit over $65,000. And the way that works is we pay up front, and at the end of the school year, we see how the usage has gone. If we're slightly over, we pay a little bit more. If we're under, they send us a refund check.
And I believe this went to the Buildings, Property, and Transportation Committee and comes with their recommendation as well. Question, anything to add from them, or any questions for myself or Mr. Boswell?
The hypothetical with a 17-cent reduction should save potentially about $9,000 for the district. You're welcome.
Nothing to scoff at.
I figured whether or not we get the federal grant, that will definitely help us either way. So what's going to happen is going to happen. We should probably go for it.
Were there multiple bids, or was Premier the only one that presented?
Sure, I think it's the same company. Yes, there wasn't a bid package open, was it? It's just who we regularly deal with every year.
Is there a motion to approve the LP gas quote to Premier Co-op for transportation in 2025-26?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Bailey. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Dickman. Discussion? Mr. Huntermeyer?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Great. I make the motion to move into closed session pursuant to section 19.851C and F and of the Wisconsin statutes 118.125 to consider individual employee hiring and or resignations and the performance, placement, and or compensation of administrators, and G, to discuss legal advice, and E, to discuss contract bargaining strategies. The board may take action on these issues in closed session if necessary and appropriate. At the conclusion of the closed session, the board will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Troxel. Discussion?
I have something I would like to say, Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead.
After much thought and reflection, I've decided to step down from my position on the school board effective at end of tonight's meeting in order to pursue a new opportunity within our district that aligns perfectly with my experience and passion for teaching. I'd just like to say that serving on this board has been an honor and a privilege, and I'd like to thank the citizens of Richland Center for electing me and express my deep regret at not seeing my term through to the end. I'm incredibly thankful to my co-board members and to district administration for your dedication and your thoughtful leadership and the commitment to our students and our community. It's been inspiring to witness the innovative thinking that goes into making sure that every child in our district is met with educational opportunities that they need to thrive. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished together. I think that we've moved this district forward to become a district of choice in our region, and I know that momentum will continue to grow. I will carry with me all that I've learned from this experience, and I will continue to support the mission in a new way. However, this isn't goodbye forever. When the time comes for retirement, I fully intend to return and run again for this position on the school board, and it would be an honor to serve this district and its students in that capacity again. Thank you to the Richland School District Administration, staff, and the Richland Center community for your support, your collaboration, and most of all, your dedication to our students and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Troxel?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.